Here is Jamie after the third place finish.
A lot more for sure. Yeah, I think especially coming off the back of last year, which was a tough year and tough transition into the series, to then find what I felt was good form in pace this year, but struggling to kind of convert that into a result, to then, yeah, get our first podium here definitely means a lot. I think it did fall into our hands nicely, but like I say, we've had good pace all year, and it just felt like, you know, we're knocking on the door for a good result. So very happy with the result. I think we had a really, really good car underneath us today, and I think that was probably shadowed a bit by the fact my teammates weren't up there as well. But I think tomorrow we should be in a good place.
Now, with that, Emily, Ben, I want to ask you guys, how big of a confidence boost do you think this is for her to get a podium? And what do you think the remainder of the season is going to look like?
I mean, I think it's a huge confidence boost, as it's a huge accomplishment for her. And it's really just exciting to see a first podium for Jamie in this series, and to do it at Indy at such an iconic track. It was just so cool to see. And the way that she did it, where she spent the majority of race one in that third place spot and defending quite successfully against Hedge behind her, she should feel really accomplished, as the 28 team as a whole should in general. As far as the rest of the season for her and that 28 team, I think it's very commanding to have had those 20th place finishes in the previous two races, and then to get this podium here in race one. Obviously, race two had a different story for her. Unfortunately, she had those downshift issues, so she finished much lower than I think the car's pace was at. But overall, I think the biggest takeaway from this past weekend was that she had pace, and those car lengths that she was getting going behind her were quite significant up until she had those cautions in race one. So I think she should take away a huge, huge confidence boost looking ahead to Detroit.
Yeah, you know, I've said it both here on this show, on the Encore show this year. I felt kind of bad for Jamie because the pace has been there. It's been a massive improvement for her so far to start the year. She just hasn't had the results to show for it, a pair of 20th place finishes, but then finally to break through and get the result that she deserved with a third place finish at IMS this past weekend. You know, thoroughly deserved, and a huge confidence boost for her and that team to finally get the result that is indicative of where her pace has been. Now, as for the rest of the season, I think the true test for her is going to be the ovals, because she did struggle quite a bit making that transition last year. And then I think those struggles were only amplified when she got on the ovals, and understandably so, given the unique nature of this series compared to what she is used to racing in Europe. And then to throw her onto a type of racetrack that she had minimal, if any, experience on going into last season. I think that's going to be the true test for her, and you know, a future potential Indy 500 ride or IndyCar series ride for her in the next couple of years is how does she perform? Will she show that same level of improvement and performance uptick that she's shown on the road courses so far this year on the ovals? So that's going to be interesting to see. But as for right here and right now, again, I know race two is not the same kind of result, unfortunately, but race one, and based on the pace that she has seen and shown so far this year, I think they can take away a massive confidence boost heading into the rest of this season, rather.